Stranger Things is a show that has worked very hard to set itself apart from all that came before it, while also paying tribute to certain shows and movies that influenced it. And the heads of the show, the Duffer brothers, have made sure that while there is a lot of heart and comedy in the series, they aren't afraid to shy away from the horror side of it all. Don't forget, this is a horror series and people have died, and died a lot on this show. And with Season 4 now dated, the question becomes, who's next? Allow us to show you Stranger Things 4 characters most likely to die in the upcoming season. Number 7. Steve Harrington. In Stranger Things, Steve Harrington, Joe Keery, hasn't always been the lovable protector of the group that we know and love. At first, Matt and Ross Duffer, the writers behind the series, wrote Steve as a high school bully. However, when they cast Keery and saw his performance, they realized they wanted to keep him in the show for longer than one season. Now, Steve ranks as a fan favorite and has some of the best scenes and friendships in the entire series. Not bad for a guy who is just meant to be a bully, right? Losing Steve would be heartbreaking, but his story may have reached its end. He dated and broke up with Nancy Wheeler, Natalia Dyer, in seasons 1 and 2. In Stranger Things Season 3, he thought he found love in Robin Buckley, Maya Hawke, only for her to confess her love for another girl instead. Plus, Steve isn't a member of the original party with Will, Noah Schnapp, Lucas, Caleb McLaughlin, Mike, Finn Wolfhard, and Dustin, Gaten Matarazzo. It seems like we're due for some heartbreak this season and our favorite babysitter might shuffle off his mortal coil. Yes, we know this would devastate many of you, but that is kind of the point. We've lost characters who didn't deserve to die, but did. And given that things are going to end with Season 5, according to reports, someone in the bigger main cast is likely going to die before it's all over. So, why not Steve? Number 6. A B character? The Duffer brothers have a thing against the letter B. Almost every character who died in previous seasons had a first or last name that started with B. We lost Barb Holland, Shannon Purser, Bob Newby, Sean Astin, Billy Hargrove, Darcy Montgomery, Martin Brenner, even though we know now that Brenner survived and returns in Stranger Things 4 thanks to Matthew Modine. One character left in that category who could potentially die in Stranger Things 4 is Murray Bauman, Brett Gelman. The conspiracy theorist Murray Bauman has grown on fans over the years. He cuts straight to the point, has an absurd amount of intel on Russian politics, and is witty enough to evoke some laughs from the audience in almost every scene. However, the chances of Murray surviving past Stranger Things 4 does seem slim. His death might elicit a lot of tears, but overall audiences probably prefer him dying versus any of the main characters. Number 5. The new characters. Now this may seem like a cop-out, but roll with us on this one. New characters typically don't fare well in the world of Stranger Things. In Season 1, fans barely got to know Barb before the Demogorgon ate her. Bob Newby lasted to the penultimate episode of Season 2 before he died. Plus, Stranger Things 4 announced several new characters, which increases the likelihood of one of them dying. The show's cast already includes a large group, so to add more might mess up the storytelling of the show. Some fans believe that the Hawkins high school cheerleader Chrissy might be an important piece of the puzzle in Stranger Things Season 4. However, we don't think so. She doesn't appear to have any connections to the leading group of kids, which hints her character could be disposable. Netflix described Argyle as Jonathan's best friend, and after all he's been through, it seems unnecessarily cruel to rip away his new friend. The same goes for Vicky, who Netflix described as someone's love interest. Eddie's character befriends the party with his love for Dungeons & Dragons. It is possible he accidentally stumbles onto something just from his association with Dustin, Mike, and the gang. Plus, there's also a killer that we'll meet played by the one and only Robert Englund, so perhaps they'll want to kill a killer? I don't know, it's hard to say. But for now, all bets are off, and no one is safe. Number 4. Joyce Byers. Joyce might be the most probable candidate to die in Season 4, as sad as it may sound, and we don't say this lightly, because who doesn't love Winona Ryder? And there is some evidence to back this up. She was a mess after Hopper died and might be willing to do something rash to save someone just like he did. However, the biggest proof was pointed out by a Twitter user who states that Joyce's opportunistic ex-husband Lonnie is confirmed to be in Season 4. He only seems to show up when something bad happens, like Will's funeral in Season 1 or when he has something to gain. So Joyce's death could very well be the reason for Lonnie coming around. It would also give Jonathan, Will, and Eleven a reason to move back to Hawkins. Also, you do have to wonder about the mental state of Joyce after all that has happened in the first 3 seasons. She has lost family for a time, she lost Bob Newby, whom she really cared about, She seemingly lost Hopper as well as right in front of her and now is moving away because she couldn't take it anymore. She might just be at a breaking point mentally, and that could lead to a tragic death. Number 3. Mike, Dustin, Lucas, or Max. Yeah, we're not casting a big net here at all. These characters are the heart of the show, so it's not likely that any of them will die. However, it cannot be ruled out. Of the 4, Mike is probably the most likely candidate to meet his demise. Rumors of his death have been flying around for years because of his connection with 11. He might sacrifice himself to save her while she is powerless, or his death might even be a catalyst for 11 to regain her powers. But let's be real, fans might riot if Mike dies before Malevolent can officially happen, especially since the show almost seemed determined to keep them apart as shown in 2 of the 3 season finales. Number 2. Will Byers. So this one plays into a long-stated conspiracy theory about Stranger Things, mainly that Will Byers is the only person who has been taken by the Demogorgon and lived. He was even taken into the Upside Down and lived there for days before he could get out. Remember, Barb was taken there too, and we saw her body there later. But the question is, why? Why did the Demogorgon let Will live and let him roam around the Upside Down when it killed everything else? The conspiracy theory is that Will is actually the Demogorgon. Trust us, it'll make sense in a bit. Very loosely, the Upside Down is believed to be an alternate future version of Hawkins, Indiana. Hence why the place keeps taking from the town and mimicking what it looks like, including a clock tower teased in a Season 4 video. And if this is the future, then something created the original Demogorgon, and that may have been Will Byers in one form or another. Plus, that would explain what happened as the Demogorgon went and captured Will to ensure the timeline loop continued, and thus he would transform into it soon enough. It would also explain some things like the possession that the Mind Flayer did on him. So if he were to die, it might just be that he dies so that he could complete the loop and become the Demogorgon, like he was meant to be. Number 1. 11. While it's not likely that 11 will die, it is worth considering the possibility and the evidence. She lost her powers after the latest encounter with the Mind Flayer, so she is vulnerable. Also, from the back, one of the people attending the funeral looks an awful lot like Dr. Brenner, who is rumored to be making a comeback this season. Of course, he would attend the funeral for his prize test subject, and on top of that, some of Brenner's other test subjects could be making appearances in Season 4 to possibly replace 11's character and take Stranger Things in an entirely new direction. Plus, so roll with us on this, they could make it seem like she died via the Demogorgon, and then it's revealed in Season 5 that she's alive, but being controlled by the Mind Flayer, and the Mind Flayer gives her the power she had back, making her their biggest threat ever. Thus starting the final game that has the Hawkins crew try and free 11 and stop the Mind Flayer before all is lost. Now, given all that's happened in Stranger Things so far, why not? So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at the characters who might just bite the dust in Season 4 of Stranger Things? Do you think that one of these possibilities is more likely than another? Who do you personally hope doesn't die? And what character would you sacrifice in order to let your favorite live? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you next time on the channel.